what does militant self-care mean for you and help you stay at that level of wellness that you described this morning, afternoon, where you
Yeah.
are?
So I started using the term militant self-care a million years ago. I don't even remember when I first started using it. But what it means to me today is that it's a form of self-care for people who are in the trenches.
Mm,
I think that doing the work that I do, it's not an optional thing. And I know I don't love army language, right? Like
mm,
militant. And at the same time, I really needed something that reflected the urgency and the responsiveness that I needed to practice when it came to caring for my body, for my mental health, for my family,
mm.
and for all of those yucky self care things that we don't really want to do, but that we have to do. And I mentioned in earlier that I am a contrarian, and sometimes I'm just fighting myself. Like it's
Mhm.
not other people getting in the way of my practicing self care or self tending. It's my own nature, my own not wanting to feel the reverberations of whatever feelings have come up throughout the day, and trying to disassociate and try there's just so much going on all the time that for me it felt very critical that the language matched like the urgency with which I have to approach taking care of myself doing this work.
Yeah. What does it look like to have conversations with people in your life, or maybe like those internal conversations with yourself about like, this is the boundary and this is the way that it's going to be? Um, bye. Right.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
You know, I had the worst year last year. My mental health was just not good, and which is why it took me this long to respond to your email as an invitation. Um, and I just I couldn't quite get both feet on sturdy ground. Like it just felt like constantly I was just getting knocked over. And I ended up sending out a message, an auto email to everyone that was like, I will respond as I'll let you know as soon as my body lets me know, like what's going to happen.
Mhm.
Because I don't actually know that this meeting that I sent 2 weeks ago, how I'm going to feel in 2 weeks. And that became a very real interruption in my life that I had to accept because you have to take care of your body. And I had the gift of being able to set those boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And so the how is that you do it. Like the how is that you just have to do it. The difficult part, but also the part that I felt like was very informative, is watching people respond to that. It taught me a lot about the people who could work at a pace that was humane
Mhm.
and the people who were like, yeah, 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 that's great. Can you send me this thing by 5 o'clock? Or, pushing against boundaries. And it really determined who I continued to build relationship with, who I wanted to work with more consistently, because it was a strong indicator of who could actually hold those boundaries with love, and push against boundaries when something was urgent, but really understood like what was urgent and what they could hold on their own.
Yeah.
So complicated, lifelong practice. Um, but yeah, you just got to do it. Just got to do it.
Yeah, you said in there, you're fortunate enough to be in the position where like you can take that space. How would you quantify being in that position, right? Because that looks different for everybody, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the same I'm in a similar position where I think a lot of the expectations that I have for being responsive to people are expectations that like I'm putting on myself, not necessarily that other
Mm-hmm.
people like are putting on me. And when I think about like the material conditions of my life, it's like, nah, bro, you can you can chill. Like it's okay. You can actually wait. Um, but like, what is it that like helps remind you that like, oh no, it's okay. Right, like what are the things that you rely on or like remind yourself of that like it's okay to step back, it's okay to take this space for myself, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead.
No, I love multi-part questions. That's how my brain works too. I'm always like, I have one question in four parts. I think number one, I am held in community with people who deeply understand that people's brains don't all work the same way.
Mhm.
And we want to give space and make the work accessible for all survivors. And so, if we're going to do that for others, we're going to do it for ourselves too. And one of the things that I really believe is if I am in control of this space in a world where I don't have control over most spaces that I have to encounter just as
Mhm.
an adult living in the United States of America,
Yeah.
then the space that I create is going to be a liberatory space to the best of my efforts and energy. Like if if I'm creating spaces that are not accessible to me, then they're not going to be accessible to other people either. And so that has felt really important. And it's not easy. I think sometimes I was just talking to friends about this that people will say, oh, well, you're the boss. So you can just do whatever you want. And just like you said, no, I'm my worst enemy. I am a high achieving survivor of abuse who needs to prove that she is valuable.
Mhm.
So even when I'm like taking a break, my mental is saying, no, you need to get up. You need to, like, you have to keep pushing. You have to hustle. It actually takes more work for me to set my own self down than it does to tell other people to do it. Like, that's easy to, like, oh, yeah, I can create that culture for other people. And I did that before where I was like, no, 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 I've got
Yeah.
it. And I'm burning myself down and like watering everyone else, you know?